What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. You know what they say, when it rains, it pours. And it feels like that just when I think about the sequential timeline of events for the New York Jets since OTAs and mandatory minicamp is wrapped up. Now, while I'm not largely invested in the news that Aaron Rodgers, skipping or having a prearranged meeting and it not being an excuse and all that stuff, that doesn't, shock me or give me any cause for concern in the least, right? When I've heard a lot of current and former players talk about what mandatory minicamp really is, it's more so, the rookies being the biggest benefactors. The vets are really just there to go through the walkthroughs, give the tips, help out the rooks or the younger guys behind them, at least for the guys that are more secure and or guys that have nothing to prove, and to get the rundown from the coaches that while they want you to be able to relax and take the time away, use it wisely, right? Still make sure you're putting in the work, come back after these 40 days, don't screw up, and then let's get to the real part of our offseason, which is training camp. Now, for the 40 days that we're away, that happens to fall in line with tight end university, and we no longer have any representation, whether that's quarterbacks or tight ends at this event. In previous years, we've had Zack and we've had Tyler Conklin, and this is a bit of a blow to me, right? In a crucial year where it's not just playoffs or bust, but everybody is really kind of tying their hopes to the Super Bowl for the fans that are looking at the glasses half full. And so why would you not take advantage of having some of the best guys to play the position in recent years? And you can add history when you talk about guys like Travis Kelce and George Kittle being up there, even Greg Olsen himself, but plenty of other guys. Why not take advantage of having a plethora of knowledge, information, and various skill sets and athleticism all in one place to boost your game up, right? And especially even if it wasn't for a guy like Tyler Conklin, definitely for the young cats, the Jeremy Ruckers, the Kenny Yeboahs, the Zack Kuntz that are, out there on our roster. For those that aren't familiar, by the way, Tight End University was founded back in 2021 by the likes of George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Greg Olsen. It's a 3-day program. They go through a number of things: film study, on-field drills, recovery, rehabilitation, a number of other things. I've never played a tight end position, nothing close to it, but we know how difficult it is. There's a reason why you're in shock and awe if a rookie goes up there and has a Sam Laporta type season, and even further into your career. Let's say maybe not until your second contract, when you start looking like a top 5 guy. Is one of the only positions where somebody isn't really expected to go out there and produce a 1,000-yard type season or, double-digit touchdowns or anything crazy. You actually almost get the full rookie contract before people start having those elite level expectations from you, unless you're in, like the Kyle Pitts type territory based on draft position. But this is something that does disappoint me to see that we don't have guys at, because there's also, a number of guys. Dak Prescott is the lead name in the quarterback room that's over there. I believe I saw Sam Darnold pulling up again. But again, specifically for the tight ends themselves, not only do you have the 3 greats that I mentioned in Olsen, Kelce, and Kittle, but you have all of these other guys. Sam Laporta, I think T.A. Hawkinson's there. You have Evan Ingram, who you've seen improve, and I want to say he's had back-to-back Pro Bowls. I'm not saying that's directly tied to Tight End University, but still, every aspect of being able to improve helps out quite a bit. And I think about the fact that they've had one of their largest turnouts this year is being held at Vanderbilt University. Over 70 combined players between tight ends and quarterbacks that are out there. Not only do you get a different feel for the quarterbacks that are throwing for you, again, you have all of these other various tight ends, but if you want to take a look at our guys, we have Tyler Conklin, right? Tight end 1 for us. He's been essentially a fringe top 10 tight end in the NFL now quietly for the last 3 years that he's been with the Jets. And we've heard him talk about this year, not only hearing the noise about the Jets potentially going out there and getting a Brock Bowers, but just in his own personal accomplishments, he wants to be able to add some elements to his game, specifically when it comes to yards after catchability. This would have been the perfect place for that. I've heard specifically guys talking about one of the focal points being able to get separation, not only at the line of scrimmage when it comes to various release packages, but also at the top of the route stems that they're running. And I paraphrasing here, but in some fashion, the motto essentially was there's two type of tight ends. There's the guys that can, I forget how this goes. I'm butchering this, but I'll probably have a little, image there for you guys. But there's the tight ends that can create separation by themselves, and then essentially the tight ends that need a little bit of assistance, right? When you take a look at further down the depth chart, Jeremy Ruckert, he's been on a continuous improvement path from everything that we've seen. Potentially the best blocker on our in that position group. And then when you talk about his receiving prowess, we know he looks like one of the most athletic guys, maybe outside of Zack Kuntz, on paper, at least from a statistical standpoint. And again, all of this could really only help. But Jeremy Ruckert, if he has a quote unquote breakout season for himself, only 17 catches, I believe, to his name over his career so far, maybe the New York Jets can take a flyer on not having to pay Tyler Conklin and easing into the rest of Jeremy Ruckert's rookie contract. And then you have Kenny Yeboah, who's saddled in after him. He's really had himself an impressive OTAs offseason. I mentioned him as one of the winners in my breakdown of all the news I consumed and stuff. And then Zack Kuntz specifically, right? This is a guy that, for comparison's sake here, just so you guys are aware, I believe this is an invite, only type camp. But when you look at the names that are out there for, what I checked into, you have the Evan Ingrams, you obviously have Kelson, Sam Laporta and Hawkinson and a lot of those top guys there. But they've also had some guys that I believe, Fabian Morrow out there, for example, later round draft guys, UDFA. So it's not like there's any particular reason any of these guys would have been left out the list. And I would only excuse them if we actually found out what the invite list looked like and those guys weren't on it. But if they got the invites and they're just not participating, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But Zack Kuntz, a guy that's on the roster bubble once again, and we'd have to hope we can sneak onto the practice squad. And maybe sneaking is the right word anymore. It seems like there's been some development with him. It's just not, not to say Kenny Yeboah is not an impressive player, but, just from a pedigree standpoint, you would have to imagine that they're on the same tier, and Kenny Yeboah seems like he's light years ahead of him in pretty much all facets, right? So Zack Kuntz would do a lot of good for himself to be able to participate in a camp like that, still have a break, come back, and hopefully hit the ground running, right? So little disappointing. It's not the end of the world, but in a season where you want to be all in as many aspects as possible, I'm sure Ron Middleton and the rest of the staff would have loved to have seen that these guys are attending again. They're grinding it out. Again, it's only 3 days. Then they take the break and they come back and, we get into the business. So ultimately, feels like nothing. I know it's the, lull of the offseason right now where there's not a ton of news or anything meaningful really coming out. But let me know what you guys think about this. Is this a huge blow for us from a development standpoint, or is it really just a minor blip on the radar? And I'm blowing this out of proportion. And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.